Deep internal divisions plague Kosovo's declaration of independence. Since Kosovo declared its independence on February 17th, violent protests have erupted in the region. Gallup polled in Kosovo in 2007 and found that 99% of Kosovar Albanians supported an independent Kosovo versus 77% of Kosovar Serbs who wanted Kosovo to remain a Serbian province.
This just reinforces the ethnic division. There's no real hope that you're going to see any coming together. The Kosovar Albanians, now that they feel that this is within their grasp, are going to go for it. The Serbs, meanwhile, are going to worry that this just shows that their views and the views of their brethren in Serbia proper are being ignored by the important powers in the world. And it's probably going to make them more angry and more paranoid. So I'm afraid the divisions that were already so evident in 2007 are just going to get worse.
Dr. Michael O'Hanlon, a senior fellow of foreign policy at the Brookings Institution and co-author of Winning Ugly, NATO's War to Save Kosovo, gave us his perspective on the situation and if in fact Kosovo will maintain its declaration.
I think Kosovo will stand by its policy because it's getting support from some key players who show no signs of wavering or backing down, the United States and Britain being chief among them, but a number of other important countries as well. And of course, at some point, this becomes a larger issue than the specific question of Kosovo. It becomes, for the United States and others, a question of whether you give in to Russian bullying.
There's a major divide in the international community over Kosovo's independence. The US and the UK, for instance, have expressed their support for an independent Kosovo. Russia, Spain, and Cyprus, among other countries, have all declared staunch opposition to Kosovo's independence.
I believe that in the end, it's reasonable for the Kosovar Albanians to want independence, but the timing is extremely questionable. And I'm reminded of what a former Greek official once told me in 1999, shortly after the Kosovo War, when I asked him, can you imagine an independent Kosovo someday? And what he said was, yes, when it doesn't matter as much. Yes, when the politics of the region have moved to a new stage where these animosities are not as extreme, people are not as angry, people have moved beyond, they're focused more on building democracies and modern economies, and they're not as worried about where lines are drawn.
Some fear Kosovo's independence could cause another war in the region. But Gallup finds that 30% of Serbs and 41% of Kosovar Serbs said they didn't know if Kosovo's independence would cause another war. But 80% of Kosovar Albanians said it would not.
Yes, I think it could cause another war to the extent that it eggs on secessionist movements in Macedonia. There is always the chance, if things don't go well in the Serbian parts of Kosovo, that you could imagine Serbian troops moving across the border to protect the Serb populations, not to retake the whole province, but to protect the areas north of the town of Mitrovica and other such areas. So even within Kosovo, there's a risk of war, not immediately, but down the road.
The question now is, how should the situation play out so that the region is not destabilized?
Well, I still wish that there were a way to put the independence on ice and say that's where we're headed, but let's realize it's too soon to go there. And let's ask the Kosovar Albanians and let's ask the international community to delay. However, it may be too late to hope for that. And so I think what you're going to need now is to offer some incentives to the Serbs and help the Kosovar Albanians build an economy such that people can turn their attention away from this confrontation and towards building modern, prosperous societies.
I'm Yasmin Vasugian, and join us again to hear more voices from around the world.